Part 1. The shadow that followed. The night the shadow first appeared was unusually quiet. Too quiet, even the crickets outside had gone silent, as if they sensed something watching. The power went out without warning, and the sudden darkness swallowed the room whole. I sat on my bed, listening to my own breathing, slow and careful, afraid that even the smallest sound might disturb whatever now shared the darkness with me. I lit a candle with shaking hands. The small flame flickered like it was unsure whether to stay alive. Its soft glow stretched across the walls, making the room look unfamiliar, almost gentle, yet deeply unsettling. Shadows danced around me, ordinary ones until one stopped moving. I stood up. Before I took a step, the shadow on the wall leaned forward. My heart skipped. I hadn't moved. My feet were still pressed into the cold floor, yet the shadow had shifted first. I raised my hand slowly, testing what my eyes were seeing. The shadow raised its hand too, but not with me. It moved a breath earlier, like it knew my intentions before I did. Fear crawled into my chest, slow and heavy. I swallowed hard and whispered, "It's just stress. I had been carrying a lot lately." Losing my job had made my days blur together. Worrying followed me everywhere, clinging like a second skin. I hadn't slept properly in weeks. I told myself the mind can play cruel tricks when it's tired and afraid. Still, the shadow did not move away. When the power finally returned, the light snapped on, and the shadow vanished as if it had never existed. I laughed nervously, trying to convince myself it meant nothing. But deep inside, something had changed. That laugh sounded empty. That night, sleep came in pieces. I dreamed of standing in a long hallway with no doors, no windows, no escape. At the end stood a shadow taller than me, wider than me, waiting patiently. It did not chase me. It didn't need to. I woke up sweating, my heart racing. After that, the shadow returned often. Sometimes I saw it in mirrors, standing just behind my shoulder. Other times, it stretched along the wall beside me while I worked, darker than it should have been. I tried to ignore it. I stopped turning around suddenly. I stopped looking too closely at reflections. I told myself that fear only grows when you feed it. But the shadow grew anyway. It began to feel familiar. On days when sadness sat heavy in my chest, the shadow looked thick and slow, like it was sinking. When anger burned inside me after phone calls, reminding me of unpaid bills or disappointed voices, the shadow sharpened, its edges darker and crueler. One evening, after a painful call from my mother asking when I would get my life together, I slammed my hand against the wall and shouted. The sound echoed. Then, from the corner of the room, I heard something else. A laugh, low, soft, knowing. I turned slowly. The shadow stretched and twisted, almost pleased. That was the moment true fear wrapped around my spine. "You hear me now," it whispered. I backed away, my legs weak. "What are you?" I asked, barely breathing. The shadow didn't answer right away. It leaned closer, its shape bending unnaturally. "I am what you leave behind," it said. "I grow where you refuse to look." The truth struck me harder than fear ever could. I had been running from regret, from guilt, from the choices I wished I could erase. I smiled in front of people while breaking apart inside. I told myself I was fine when I wasn't. The shadow wasn't following my body. It was following my pain. That night, as the candle burned low, I understood a quiet lesson wrapped inside the horror. Pain ignored does not disappear, it waits. Fear denied does not fade, it learns your shape. And the parts of yourself you refuse to face will one day stand before you, asking to be seen, the shadow stayed, and deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you for watching.